I read recently that something like 15,000 books on leadership are published every year. And there's so much content out there, so much that can be said about what it means to be a coach, how to develop others. I think the world doesn't need any more new content around leadership. But what we do need is models and proximity and relationships. And I'm just always struck by just how the world starves for good figures in their life. We know of good leaders, but we don't actually know many good leaders. And when I was in Gemas, in that village, when I was teaching, one of the first things that I experienced was a heartbreak, like a certain heartbrokenness towards the students that I was teaching. Because it soon occurred to me that there's so many reasons why education inequity happens, why people are sort of stuck in a certain cycle of poverty, but also dysfunction, and a certain lack, of access that continues on for generations. So many reasons why that happens. But the one thing that I've noticed is that there's always a common thread among people who are struggling in the cycle of education inequity. And that thread is a lack of good figures in their life, good fathers and mothers or brothers and sisters who would invest in them. And I think that's because at the heart of all human beings, all of us, are two basic needs, right? We want to know that we're valuable in some way, that there is a worth and significance to our being and our existence. But then secondly, we want to live for a reason. We want to use that value and purpose for something. So it's value and purpose at the heart of it. And what's interesting is that in the Gospels, in Matthew 20, Jesus gives his disciples a leadership lesson. And it's actually in the context of a power jostle. His disciples, James and John, are trying to vie for some position in God's kingdom. They're actually making this shameless plug to get there and sit on his right and left in his kingdom. And Jesus then turns this into an object lesson, and he begins to give them these remarkable words. He says, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over themselves, and they exercise authority, but not so with you. And with these four words, not so with you, he sort of sets a difference for his kingdom. He says leaders in God's kingdom are not people of position, but leadership is more of a posture than a position. And he then says what leadership looks like. He says, if anyone wants to be great among you, they must be a servant. If anyone wants to be first, they must be a slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to be ransom for many. And I think Jesus here was drawing on the ground what it looks like to be a true leader in his kingdom. You see, leadership is not a position but a posture. It's not about ladder climbing, but about ladder carrying. It's actually not about lording over, but serving under. And it's from that place, people adding value to them, giving them a new vision, calling out their value and encouraging them, that actually we do some of our best leadership, because it's not a position, but a posture.
Thanks so much for watching. You might be aware that Stream Studio is a crowd-funded non-profit, and if you'd be interested to see more videos like the one you've just watched, perhaps you'd consider a small monthly donation. There's a link in our bio which will give you full details.